It's time once again for a Golf Clash tournament. This week it's the Safari Sunrise tournament, and this is my qualification round in the pro level. I hope you enjoy it. So let's start with hole number one. On this tee, we're going to be using a navigator. It's a par 4, so you don't need to go crazy on distance here. Too much distance will get you in trouble. So the first shot is going to be with a 10% elevation. You could use an extra mile or an APOC or a Thor's hammer if it's big enough. You want to bounce it off the end of the first fairway onto the second, but not get into the rough. So you use some max top spin, max right spin, and then one ball right curl. And you see, we get our bounce. We get a nice roll up to the second fairway. And we have a good line of sight to the pin for the second shot and a shot at eagle. Going for the second shot, I'm using a Grizzly 8. But if you have a long club that has good ball guide, you could use it. I'm a big fan of the Grizzly once you get it up to 7 or 8. So this shot's also 10%. I'm playing the Grizzly here at minimum. And it's a fairly straightforward shot. And so I'm going to hit this shot here and get the bounce, get the roll, and there's the eagle. Moving on to hole number 2, it's a long par 5, and it's got a bunch of segmented fairways here, so you have to really be careful. In this hole, I'd use a Kingmaker, and I'm using an APOC 4. That's going to be enough. If you don't have that, you can go with an extra mile. You can go with a Thor's hammer again. And you want to go with 2 bars top spin and max right spin. You want to be careful on the top spin because you don't want to roll long and end up in the rough or the bunker that's ahead of the second fairway. And you want to set this up at the very right side and right at the start of that right side bunker, and then curl the shot, and you see it sits nicely. On the second shot, you have 20% elevation. I'm using a sniper here, but you might want to go with a Cataclysm if you have enough distance, or possibly a big topper. Depends on where you're landing on that second fairway off the tee shot. Now you have 2 options here. You want to either bounce it over the bunker onto the green or roll it down the right side. Now, as you see here, I didn't have enough distance with the sniper, so I'm playing it safer on the right-hand side. Want to keep it away from the rough and the bunker on the left, so I maxed it out, put some topspin on it, and a little bit left-handed curl to get it back towards the green and leave myself a safe chip shot. Now we move on to hole number 3, the first of our par 3s. On this hole, I'm using a KATANA and a sniper, and I'm using it at max distance. The hole is 10% downhill, and I need the KATANA because you need the side spin here. So I went with 4 backspin and 5 right spin. lined it up around the front corner of the bunker, but you have to be careful not to hit where the rough sticks out, or else you're going to have a lot of problems trying to save your birdie. So I hit the shot, and I'm close, so I have an easy, safe putt for the birdie. I just need to dial this one in a little bit. Now we're on hole number 4, and this is a fun par 4 to play. I'm using an extra mile here because I need to get some good distance on the tee shot. I'm using a KATANA, but I might go bigger in the later rounds. And in qualifying, I try to stay away from the more premium balls if I can. But later on, I might give it a shot. 10% downhill, max top spin, 4 left spin. As you see, I get the bounce at the end of that first fairway, and it rolls up. Although with the level 3 ball, it could have rolled a little further. And here's the second shot. You don't have to worry about any downhill on this shot. Now, depending on where you land your tee shot, you can either try to play the rough bump at that edge of the fairway, or you can just go off the fairway and hit max backspin and try to lay it into the hole. I'm using a Hornet at minimum distance, and I am using all the backspin. You could use a Thorn here as well. That's up to you. So now I'm playing the shot, and again, I get the roll and get the eagle. Hole number 5, the second of our par 3s. This one is going to be a tricky one to try to get the hole-in-one on because you have uneven fairways and you have an uneven green. So you might not be able to dial this in as well as you'd like. I'm using a KATANA here and a sniper at minimum distance. The hole is 10% downhill, and I'm playing here 2 backspin, 5 right spin. I'm setting it up about the right-hand side of the fairway, about halfway alongside that big bunker. So you see here, I'm playing it with a little bit of right-hand curl. I think I used a bit too much here, depending on how I landed. But still safe enough for the birdie putt. Hole number 6. It's the second of our par 5 holes today. The first shot is a 20% downhill, and I'm going to be using a Titan and an extra mile to get the distance. Now, depending on the wind, you have 2 choices here. You can bounce it before the rough bunker that's sticking out using max top spin, max right spin, and a little bit of right curl. But if you have some good tailwind like we have here, you can go straight over that with maximum overpower, but only use about 2 or 3 top spin to avoid going long and landing into that bunker sticking out the right side. So you see, that's what I'm going to try here. And need to get a perfect shot. And I do get it over the bunker and going to get a nice roll onto the green. You can go straight over that with maximum overpower, but only use about 2 or 3 top spin to avoid going long and landing into that bunker sticking out the right side. So you see, that's what I'm going to try here. And need to get a perfect shot. And I do get it over the bunker and going to get a nice roll onto the green. Moving on to the second shot, it's 0 elevation, so it's a flat shot. I'm playing a grizzly at maximum distance here, and I'm setting it up on the left side of the fairway with some left spin. Now, on this shot, when this happens, Tommy would use a boom here. I'm not going to steal his routine. So what I'm going to do here is I'll let Flavor Flav make the call.
Yeah, boy!
Moving on to the 7th hole, it's the last of our par 3s. And this one is going to be 10% downhill. I'm using a KATANA because I want to get some side spin, and I'm using a sniper at minimum distance. I set this up at 4 backspin with 3 left spin, but it turned out to be my first real mistake of the round. Because what happened was I was afraid of going short and catching the rough before the green and falling into the bunker. Instead, I went too far and went over the back of the green. So now I have to take this shot with a rough iron and pick it up from behind the green. It's uphill, but we've got some fairly straight wind here. So I'm going to line it up and put it in to save the birdie. Hole number 8. It's the last of our par 4s. The tee shot here is going to be 10% downhill, and I'm using a KATANA on this hole. You could use a bigger ball, maybe a Kingmaker, because you're going to need some side spin. Maybe a Berserker later in the round if you get to the weekend. But what you want to do is you want to go from the left side fairway and bounce it over that little spit of rough to the right-hand side. I'm going to use an APOC here because I'm going to need the right-hand curl. So I'm going to go with max top spin, max right spin, and a full ball of right curl to try to get it down the right side fairway as much as possible. And as you see, I got it right down the middle of that fairway, and I'm getting a pretty decent distance to give myself an easier time on the second shot. Moving on to the second shot, again, it's 10% downhill, and here's where your short iron comes in. If you're more comfortable with a Hornet like I am, or if you want to use a Thorn, go ahead for it. And it's a straightforward shot. Just line it up and make sure you hit it right and get it into the hole. And we wrap this round up on hole number 9. It's a long par 5, and you could use an extra mile here, or an APOC, or Thor's Hammer if you've got one that's big enough. I'm using a Titan here, but you could use a Kingmaker as well. Maybe in the later round and on the weekend, if you want to push it, go for a Berserker. And the first shot's 10% downhill, so you have to make a little bit of an adjustment. What you want to do is get to the top of the fairway on the right-hand side. So you're going to need max top spin, max right spin, and about half a ball of right-hand curl. So we hit the shot, And we're going to get it up there nicely. Moving on to the second shot. I'm using a sniper at maximum distance here, but you might want to go with a Cataclysm or a big topper to get it past that little bit of rough that's sitting right before the green. There is no downhill to adjust to here, and I'm going to try to give it as much as I can to get it up onto the green past the rough. And it looks like it's my second mistake of the round. I didn't get past the rough. So now I'm going to have to make a shot to try to save the eagle. Like before the other shot, there's very little crosswind. So that's going to work in my favor. So I'm going to make sure I line this up the way I want it. Hit the shot and get it in and save the eagle. So that's the end of the round, and I'm very pleased with this. With a minus 16, I'm very, very happy. If I can only get the par 3s to drop, who knows, I might have a monster weekend. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitch. The link is sitting in the description.